Hi, this is RIO4LIFE Kim D, and welcome to Nicknames and Meanings, 10 names that explain me. You ready? Let's go. Nicknames are funny little life markers. Sometimes they're affectionate, sometimes they're sarcastic, sometimes they're ridiculous, and sometimes without meaning. They tell the truth. When I look at the nicknames I have been called over the years, I see them more than labels. I see personality clues. I see seasons of life. I see how people experienced me in different rooms, different roles, different ages, and different versions of myself. Together, these names create a personality map. Not a diagnosis, not a box, a map. And this map says, I have been seen as hopeful, faithful, strange, talkative, resourceful, playful, investigative, nurturing, and a little bit louder than average. Or maybe a lot louder than average. I'm going to start with Pollyanna, the hopeful reframer. I have been called Pollyanna because I tend to have a find solutions, not excuses attitude. I have a positive outlook and a sense of wonderment about this world. I also seem to have a knack for helping people shift into a more positive frame of mind, even if it's only for a few moments. What this means is Pollyanna represents a part of me that looks for the opening when other people only see a wall. This doesn't mean I don't see problems. I see them. I just don't believe the problem gets to be the only voice in the room. The personality traits from this are optimism, resilience, encouragement, solution-focused thinking, and emotional refraining, wonderment, and the ability to shift the mood of a room. There's some growth edges along with it. Sometimes people may mistake my positivity for denial. But for me, positivity is not pretending everything is fine. It's deciding that even if it's not fun, there might still be one useful next step. Pollyanna is the hope translator. She takes discouragement and tries to convert it into movement. Coming up next, we got Molly Mormon, the devoted homemaker. I have been called Molly Mormon because I am resourceful, faithful, obedient, and deeply connected to homemaking and spiritual practice. I make butter in a mason jar almost every morning and consider it a 10-minute upper arm workout. I avoid using electric devices when I'm baking or preparing food. I rotate food storage through regular use. I can make marshmallows from scratch. I can make my own clothes. I can handle most home repairs, rebuilds, or improvements. There also is a spiritual side. I learned to make it every single thought and utterance to Heavenly Father. I mastered the practice of praying unceasingly. I had daily scriptures, obedience, faithfulness, and fun all woven together. What this means for me is the Molly Mormon represents discipline, devotion, practical skills, preparation, and faith turned into daily action. This is not a sweet homemaker image. There's a pioneer energy with a tool belt. My personality traits in this area are resourcefulness, preparedness, self-sufficiency, domestic intelligence, spiritual discipline, practical faith, obedience, creativity, hands-on problem solving. My growth edge in this area is the nickname carries both gifts and old programming. The skills are real treasure. The question now is whether each habit still comes from joy, devotion, and choice, or whether it comes from an old expectation to always be useful, obedient, and prepared. Am I doing this from love and purpose, or from old programming? Molly Mormon is the sacred practicalist. She turns belief into routines, food, clothing, prayer, preparation, and survival skills. Next up, we got Davey, D-A-V-E-Y, the Harley Davidson. When I was 19, a male friend told me that I was basically a Harley Davidson motorcycle. We're hanging out at a bar, and he said that I had a wide seat, odd-shaped headlamps, that I was born to ride, was the loudest machine on the road, and that nobody messes with a Harley or anyone who rides a Harley, and that I was either manual or electric start. It's very much the kind of thing a 19-year-old male friend would say. Slightly inappropriate, very funny, and somehow weirdly accurate. Well, Davey represents his power, volume, physical presence, motion, and boldness. Being compared to a Harley Davidson says, I was not experienced as delicate, invisible, or quiet. I had engine, I had road energy. I was noticeable. My personality traits there are boldness, humor, strong presence, physical confidence, durability, independence, loud, lively energy, and built for motion personality. Got some growth edges there because sometimes people, they notice the engine before they notice the heart. They might remember the loudness and humor or physical presence before they understand the tenderness underneath. Davey is road-tested machinery with a story. Miss Kim, the warm authority figure. I first remember hearing Miss Kim when I lived in Albany, Georgia. They called me Miss Kim at work, but they called everybody Miss, Mr., or Ma'am. Later, when I was around kids, most of the time, I was just simply Miss Kim. Miss Kim represents warmth, respect, approachability, and leadership. This nickname matters because it crosses generations. Adults use it as a respectful, Southern-style title. Children use it as a name for someone familiar, safe, and in charge. Miss Kim sounds like someone who might help a child, tell a story, give instruction, correct behavior, make snacks, and explain the world in a way that makes sense. The personality traits are warm leadership, trustworthiness, nurturing authority, community presence, approachability, respect, and cross-generation connections. Miss Kim can become the dependable adult in every room. This is a gift, but it can be tiring if everyone assumes the capable one doesn't need care. Miss Kim is the neighborhood-style leader, warm, known, useful, and respected. Now we have Oma, the chosen grandmother. When my daughter was 9, her best friend lived in the mobile home park along with us and on base at San Onofre in Camp Pendleton. Her best friend was second-generation American. And my daughter heard her call her mom Oma. From that day on, Oma became one of my names. Oma represents chosen family energy. It's not about biology. It's about warmth, comfort, safety, food, stories, and a place to belong. The nickname carries grandmother energy, but not in an old or distant way. It's that kind of grandmother energy that creates emotional shelter. The personality traits within it are nurturing, emotional hospitality, chosen family connection, intergenerational bonding, warmth, protective care, homemaking presence. Got some growth edges there because, there's good with the bad. Oma energy can occasionally adopt people before checking whether there's enough time, energy, or emotional room. This gift needs boundaries so it doesn't turn into carrying everyone. Oma is the part of me that creates home around itself. Got an alien here, the beautiful oddball. I have been called an alien because sometimes I don't seem like I'm from planet Earth. My behaviors, mannerisms can seem out of place. I have unusual food combinations, like chocolate Parmesan cheese balls. And frankly, chocolate Parmesan cheese balls are not just a snack. They are evidence in a personality investigation. Alien represents originality, strangeness, unusual thinking, and not fitting into standard categories. The alien represents originality, strangeness, unusual thinking, and not fitting into standard categories. It's important. It's different. This nickname says people experience me as different, and not just quirky, different. My mind makes unexpected connections. I combine things together that people might never think of putting together. I have an originality, I have cognitive thinking, pattern breaking, sensory capabilities, curiosity, unusual combinations, independent perspectives, and the ability to see what others miss. Being called an alien can be funny, but it also can point to being misunderstood. Sometimes people call something strange because they don't have a category for it. Alien is wired sideways in a straight-lined world. Are you ready for Chatty Cathy, the storyteller? Ooh. I have been called Chatty Cathy. I enjoy talking. I tell stories. I sing a lot. I verbal process. And honestly, I can be cute and fun to be with. Talking isn't just noise for me. It's how I sort out life. Chatty Cathy represents verbal processing, storytelling, expression, teaching, and connection. I think through speech. I remember through stories. I connect through words. I process emotions, ideas, memories, and plans out loud. Storytelling, verbal intelligence, teaching ability, humor, emotional expression, social connection, singing and narrating life as it happens. Some people think I'm just talking, when really I'm organizing, filing, testing, discovering, and connecting ideas in real time. Chatty Cathy speaks to understand, not just be heard. Stalker, the investigator with intent. This nickname needs explanation because the word can sound negative. My view has always been that the difference between a stalker and putting someone under surveillance is intent. I was a successful skip tracer before computers. That means I know how to follow trails, read patterns, track information, and locate people before anything was searchable online. Stalker, in this context, represents investigation, persistence, strategy, and pattern recognition. It's not about obsession. It's about knowing how to track information and understand human movement. There is a persistence in investigation, pattern recognition, strategic thinking, observational skills, human behavior tracking, street instincts, and the ability to find hidden information. This kind of intensity has to have clear ethical boundaries, which I maintain. This gift is powerful and has to be used with respect, purpose, and clear intent. Stalker is the human tracking system with street instincts. GTS, Google that stuff. GTS, Google that stuff. I have a gift for keywords and a high processing speed. My search history is not entirely my own. It's the shared life of all the people I know, because so many people ask me to look things up for them. GTS represents research intelligence, curiosity, fast processing, and the ability to turn vague questions into searchable paths. A lot of people use Google, but not everybody knows how to ask the right questions. I seem to know how to find the words that open the doors. Fast processing, researchability, keyword intelligence, curiosity, practical problem solving, information translation, and helping others find answers. GTS has become everyone's free research department. It's a gift, but I gotta keep boundaries on it so I don't carry everyone's questions in my nervous system. GTS is the answer finder. All right, we got the flirt. We got the playful spark. This one made me pause. Didn't think I needed to include it, but decided, it had to be into this scenario. When I was 20 years old, I worked at Camp Horno, 53 area at Camp Pendleton in the E-Club. I was a waitress, and after my shift, I'd go to the other side of the building, and I'd hang out in a room filled with music, alcohol, pool tables, dancing, and a whole lot of young Marines. What's the difference between a flirt and a tease? A tease promises something, doesn't deliver. A flirt never promises. I'm a flirt. Flirt represents playful confidence, charm, social timing, and knowing the room. This nickname is not about romance. It's about energy. It's about creating a spark without creating obligation. It's about attention, humor, movement, connection. A tease creates expectation. A flirt creates energy. A flirt doesn't promise. A flirt plays. A flirt makes the room lighter. A flirt can make someone feel seen for 10 seconds and remembered for years. Charm, confidence, humor, social intelligence, playfulness, a feminine spark, emotional timing, and the ability to create chemistry without commitment. Flirt energy can be misunderstood by people who hear playfulness as promise. That means boundaries matter, especially in a room full of alcohol, youth, loneliness, ego, and young Marines. Flirt carries connection without handing over ownership. Now, this overall personality pattern, when all these nicknames were placed together, it's a clear pattern. I'm not one thing. I'm a combination. The cheerleader, Pollyanna. The pioneer, Molly Mormon. the motorcycle Davy, the neighborhood leader Miss Kim, the chosen grandmother Oma, the oddball visionary Alien, the storyteller Chatty Cathy, the investigator Stalker, the search engine GTS, and the spark Flirt. Together, this all describes a woman who is spiritually trained, socially magnetic, deeply resourceful, verbally expressive, odd and memorable ways, and built to turn chaos into meaning. I can make homemade butter and a dirty joke. I can pray without ceasing and flirt without promising. I can make marshmallows from scratch and Google the answer before someone finishes asking the question. I can mother children who aren't technically mine, track down information no one else can find, and explain my weirdness with a straight face. This is not a simple personality. This is a full operating system. I have a very high openness. The Alien, Chatty Cathy, GTS, Pollyanna, and Flirt, these nicknames all point to imagination, curiosity, creativity, and unusual connections. I see the world with wonder, humor, and a willingness to combine things other people might keep separate. I have a high conscientiousness. Molly Mormon anchors this profile with discipline, preparation, routines, food storage, homemaking, scripture, prayer, repair skills, and follow through. I'm not casual about survival. I prepare. Chatty Cathy, the Flirt, Miss Kim, Pollyanna, and Davy, they all point to a strong social presence. I don't simply enter a room, I affect rooms. I have a high agreeableness with balance. Oma, Miss Kim, and Pollyanna, they show warmth, care, encouragement, and nurturing. Now Davy, Stalker, Alien, and Flirt, man, those all show edge, independence, mischief, and intensity. The kindness is real. It's not spineless. Now my emotional sensitivity is medium to high. These nicknames suggest a very active inner world. I pray, I process, I research, I help, I fix, I tell stories, I sing, I flirt, I nurture and reframe. That much emotional and mental movement is powerful, so it needs rest. The things people notice about me, the strengths, is encouraging, capable, funny, faithful, odd, talkative, resourceful, warm, bold, investigative, playful, prospective, hard to categorize, and difficult to forget. I am probably the person people call when they need a recipe, a prayer, a ride, a search engine result, a repair idea, a story, or a reason not to give up. GTS is a gift, but it can be unpaid emotional labor. I can help people without becoming the keeper of everyone's questions. I let Pollyanna rest. My positivity is powerful. But I'm allowed to have days where I don't immediately turn pain into purpose. I keep those Molly Mormon skills, but I have to choose obedience carefully. Some of these skills are treasures. Some, they're old obedience patterns that have to be reviewed under my current adult authority. I have to question, is this devotion or is it old programming? Gotta let the alien be misunderstood or understood without over-explaining. I don't have to justify being different. Sometimes strange is just where the originality starts. I use this motorcycle Davy very wisely. I have horsepower. That means discretion matters and direction matters. Strong engine still needs brakes, still needs maintenance, and a map. Let's let this flirt play. Not responsible for anybody's reaction. Flirt energy is sparkle, not a contract. I can be playful and still be clear. I can create lightness without owing anybody anything more than I'm meant to give. Oh man, I am a spiritually trained, socially magnetic, deeply resourceful, verbally expressive, oddball problem solver with a playful spark, a research engine for a brain, and a lifelong habit of turning chaos into meaning. The fun version of that? I'm a homemade butter-making Harley-Davidson alien grandmother with a Google-grade brain, a prayer line to heaven, a storyteller's mouth, and just enough flirt to keep the room awake. People give nicknames to what they notice. They noticed my positivity. They noticed my faith. They noticed my competence. They noticed my volume. They noticed my warmth. They noticed my strangeness. They noticed my voice. They noticed my ability to find people and information. They noticed my sparkle. Together, these nicknames are not just names. They're a record of how I move through the world. Some names came from work. Some names came from family. Some names came from faith. Some names came from humor. Some came from being young, loud, playful, and alive. Some came from simply being useful in ways people remembered. I have never been easy to reduce to one thing. I'm not just Pollyanna. I am not just Molly Mormon. I am not just Miss Kim. I am not just an alien. I am not just Flirt. I am all of them. A little hope, a little prayer, a little engine, a little grandmother, a little oddball, a little detective, a little search bar, a little sparkle. Somehow, it all adds up to me. I want to thank you for sharing this moment with me as I finally found a way to share with you who I am so we can have a better understanding going forward of all the little concepts and creations within me. I thank you for being here, and I want you to know that every breath is another chance and another choice. So get out there and live it.